Hey, this is Jody Roundhouse, and I woke up a little bit ago to the sight of bombers training, and that fits perfectly in with the segue into the Roundhouse report. So Iran, again, Iran. Good grief. I don't know how many Iranian leaders have died because of coronavirus. I know the second in command to Rouhani died. 2 days prior, he had given a press conference trying to assuage the fears of the Iranian population by saying that there's no problem with coronavirus in Iran, etc. He was sweating profusely and like out of breath, and then he was dead 2 days later from coronavirus. And several others have died there since. They've been hit very hard in Iran. Not going to hear much about it because they've blocked out a lot of their, they've knocked out a lot of their cell towers and stuff. So the protests that have been going on inside of Iran that for over a year that have nothing to do with coronavirus, all that's blacked out, has been blacked out. And now with the coronavirus, everything's blacked out in Iran. But anyhow, this morning, I should probably date this. Today's April 22nd, 2020. April 22nd, 2020, Iran for the first time launched a military satellite into space. Not a satellite. They said this is a military satellite. They launched it into space. That type of technology, just as a sidebar, that's a fun way to get around testing missiles. So what you do is, in order to get around, like, you're testing intercontinental ballistic missiles, you're not allowed to do that. You'd be like, I'm just putting a weather satellite up into space. In this case, they openly said it's military just to screw with us. But they, because the flight patterns and the trajectories and everything needed in order to reach those levels in the atmosphere, that's exactly what's needed for an intercontinental ballistic missile. So they kind of killed two birds with one stone. They threw up a military satellite, given their backwards technology as relative to America's. They probably threw up some relatively rudimentary spy satellite, but regardless, they sent that up. And then about a week ago, 11, now this is something Iran has done for many years. Now, it's never reported on, and it's something that has really irked me, again, for many years. And I'm talking back in the Bush years. Bush W. Into Obama. It peaked under Obama, and then it got better under Trump, but it's still happening. And what I'm referring to is the common practice. And by common, I mean like it happens like 20 times a month in some instances. One time it happened 36 times in 1 month. In June of I think June of 2017 or June of 2016. Yeah, it was before Trump came in. In June of 2016 or August of 2016. It was right before Trump came in. I lost my train of thought. Cool. Okay, well, anyway, what they do is they swarm our Navy. So the Iranians, we fought a brief war with them in the late 80s. A lot of people don't know about that. It was a naval air war. The Iranians and the Iraqis were fighting, and then the Iranians tried to draw us up into it, and I think they accidentally shot down one of our passenger aircraft. I'm not sure. I'd have to research it, but what I am sure of is within the span of about 72 hours, we destroyed 80% of the Iranian Navy. We destroyed a couple of their oil platforms at sea using Navy SEALs. We devastated them. And that was in the late 80s. They know what we're capable of, and now it's 30 years, many decades, a couple of decades forward. We're very, very, very capable. Iran knows that. But they also know that Iran, or that America, that we've become a bunch of pussies, and I don't mean the population, I mean our foreign policy, under Obama. And I don't have to say much more. Under Obama, that's why these types of things peaked. They send out these fast boats. They know that they can't beat us. Just what I just told you with the conventional naval warfare, they can't beat us. We destroyed them. Literally, 80% of their Navy was dead. We killed it. And then we sent a bunch of Navy SEALs to seize and then destroy a bunch of oil platforms throughout the Persian Gulf. Iran can't handle our crap. That was in the late 80s. It's 2020. They know that. So anyhow, but they've continued doing this, less so under Trump. They send out these, they know they can't compete with a ship to ship. So their strategy is we're going to have a whole bunch of small, really fast, really maneuverable speedboats. And we're going to mount a 50 caliber machine gun on the front, and we're going to mount a rocket launcher on the back, and we're going to have a couple 30 calibers on each side, and we'll have a 3-inch mortar in the center. I don't know. They're called fast attack boats. fast attack boats. So the whole point is swarm. We roll up with hulking naval ships that cost billions and billions of dollars. A typical supercarrier has a crew of 5,000 people. 5,000 people on one ship. And then you have the 4 or 5 support ships, which also have combined probably a couple thousand more. What do the Iranians do to combat that? They'll send out the most recent example that Trump is responding to, 11 ships about a week ago. Again, today's the 22nd of April, 2020, in the midst of the corona pandemic, the quarantine and all that. They did what they've been doing. They sent out their fast boats, and they swarm our boats. So we have these giant hulking behemoth naval ships, and then they'll send out like 10, this latest one, 11 fast boats, and these things go fast. They're speedboats. That's all they are. They're specially made speedboats with, armor on the sides, and they're armed. They have weapons attached to them, and they'll send out. Generally, it's 6 groups of 6, and they'll steam out like an attack formation. Not steam. They'll roar out as if they're like in attack formation, and we'll have, say, a destroyer and like a couple other ships sitting there, doing freedom of navigation, making sure the Strait of Hormuz is cool, where all the oil goes through. Things have been high with Iran for 1979, so we're there. But they'll send out these little speedboats in attack formation and come at us, and they'll swarm at us. And if you're on a ship and you're looking out, you can see miles and miles and miles. So we're looking out with our binoculars, and we're like, Captain, there's like 11 of these Iranian speedboats coming at us. And the captain's like, again? Because, again, this has been going on for a long time. Under Obama, the peak, 36 separate instances in 1 month. 36 separate instances in 1 month in which the United States Navy was swarmed by swarms of fast attack boats from Iran. I was going to say a third world country, but given their economy, they're not even on the map at this point. They're a country in name only. They suck. Iran sucks. Their military is being held up. It's very fragile. I'm waiting for their military to split. And the moderates will be like, we're not doing this BS anymore that you hardliners are doing, because all you're doing is causing us pain. And by us, I mean our families. We can't get food. We can't get gasoline. We have rolling blackouts. We don't have the internet. You guys, this is bullshit. We're done. You get a fraction of the military that breaks, civil war, etc. You know how that goes. But they send out these boats to harass us, and it's a common tactic. When you do that every month, month after month for years, it only takes one time. And these fast attack craft, they may be small and they may be just have little machine guns, maybe a rocket launcher attached to them. But if that rocket launcher can, let's say there's 6 boats and each one manages to fire off 1 round from that rocket launcher from each boat. So 6 rounds, sinks an aircraft carrier, 5,000 dead, 1,000 wounded, 4,000 dead, 1,000 in the water. It only takes one time. It's a classic strategy that's been used throughout antiquity. You have constant war games. It's constant war games. You're constantly training your neighbors, your adversaries, your potential adversaries, people who were just kind of on the sidelines watching. They're like, this isn't good. But it becomes so routine, because, again, I'm going back to 2005, 2006, 2007. That's when they really started this in earnest. And then, it peaked under Obama because he's such a giant pussy. And then he's one of the worst presidents the United States has ever had. And that's objective. That's an objective fact. You want to dispute me? Hit me up in comments. I'll make you a whole video on what a bad president he was. He did do some good things. Let me rephrase that. He meant well on some of his domestic policies. He meant well with regard to continuing Bush's pivot toward Asia. He meant well. But all in all, when it comes down to it, and that's all said and done in the history books, President Barack Obama will go down as being one of the worst presidents the United States has ever had. So under his leadership, we were being swarmed all the time, and the rules of engagement under Obama, I don't know how much you guys are familiar with the rules of engagement. It's like, if you don't follow these rules of engagement, you can end up in prison. So Perfect example in Afghanistan. I remember watching a documentary. It was following a squad, and they had been ambushed, and they were behind a berm, and they were firing back across the field into the tree line where the Taliban were in Afghanistan. They were in a firefight. The Americans called in a A-10 Warthog to come and strafe the tree line where the Taliban were. Because of Obama's rules of engagement, the pilot of the Warthog was in communication in real time with the commander on the ground fighting. And he said, yeah, we're not allowed to pull the trigger unless we actually not only see the Taliban, but see them firing their weapon at you. So we can see the Taliban holding a gun, but we're not allowed to shoot at them. We have to actually, the pilot of the plane needs to see the individual Taliban soldier carrying a firearm. That's not enough. He needs to point it and then fire it toward the United States troops. That's when he can pull the trigger. Those are the rules of engagement that Trump, that's one of the first things he did, was he took all that BS away. So in this particular example, in this squad that was under attack, they actually had one of the guys had to jump up from behind the berm they were taking cover under and run across the ridge and then jump back behind the berm just to get the Taliban to fire at him. He risked his life. The Warthog pilot, the A-10 Warthog guy, he saw, and he's like, okay, now I'm allowed. And he strafed the tree line and killed all the Taliban. That American, he could have died from that. Thanks, Obama. And that happened throughout his reign. When we had to reinvade Helmand Province in southern Afghanistan, Obama did not allow the military to use artillery. Helmand Province in southern Afghanistan is the hotbed of the Taliban, and it got so bad that it officially became enemy territory again in 2009. That's when Obama sent the Marines in to reinvade Helmand Province. Well, when you invade enemy territory, you usually soften them up using artillery. Obama said, no, it's too dangerous. This is a war. We can't use dangerous stuff like that. So we set in our young men and women into combat without even artillery backup, let alone aircraft backup. So it's no wonder why the Iranians felt the balls to swarm us routinely. Every time they're gaining huge amounts of prestige, and every time the United States is just humiliated. We're letting this third world country piss in our faces with our mouths open, and we're just taking it. And by we, I mean Obama specifically, because the commanders on these ships are probably all pulling their hairs out. They have been trained from probably age 18 onward. This is not how the world works, because one of these days, these 11 or 6 or 5 or 8, however many, on that particular day, however many ships the Iranians want to send out, it just takes once. They fan out, just like every other day for the past 12 years. They pretend like they're going to attack a naval convoy, an American naval convoy, and then at the last minute they break, swarm, scatter, and then leave. One of these days, they're not going to break, swarm, scatter, and leave. They're going to fire on us. And they're going to bring down, believe it or not, 6 speedboats with 50 caliber machine guns and relatively small rocket launchers. Will be capable of destroying an American aircraft strike group because of complacency on behalf of the White House. I'm not saying under Trump, under Obama. Trump's taking steps. If you look at what's going on in the news right now, Trump has officially, today, again, April 22nd, Iran launched that military satellite today. Last week, we were swarmed by 11 speedboats. Our ships were swarmed by 11 speedboats again. This time, Trump was like, no. And he released a statement, was straight up, we will shoot any boat out of the water that comes near us. Trump's like, we're done. No more of this fast attack crap. Again, this peaked under Obama. 1 month, there were 36 instances where we were attacked. Well, mock attacked, however you want to put it. We were swarmed 36 separate times in 1 month. How many days are in a month? So that means at least a couple of days we were swarmed multiple times in one day. We weren't allowed to do anything. The commanders on these ships are freaking bold, pulling their hairs out. The sailors are probably so pissed off. They just want to fucking light these, excuse my language, they just want to light these people up. It's just common sense. When you're attacked, or when you have an enemy coming at you in attack formation, treat it like an attack. Don't be like, oh, they're just practicing again. No, that's how you lose an aircraft carrier strike group to Iran. Yeah. Yeah, you shoot them out of the water and it'll never happen again. I've said this for years. The next time that they send out 6 of their speedboats, kill all 6 of them, and they will never do it again. It's really simple. It's just basic common sense. So now Trump has stepped up and he's been like, this is breaking news. This is as of today. All right, Iran, if you guys do this one more time, we're going to kill any ships, any of your little fast attack crafts that you try to send out and swarm us with, we're going to shoot out of the water. We're done. So, that's my wake-up rant. And the sun's out and everything. So, Sun House report. Keep your eyes peeled. Again, this is just one more thing with Iran. They know they can't fight us. I don't know exactly what they're trying to accomplish mentally. Psychologically, they have nothing left. They know it, we know it, the world knows it. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly are they trying to do other than score propaganda victories. Other than propaganda, what are they actually accomplishing anything substantive? Or is this just all for show? Because if it's the latter, they're about to get a either way, they're going to get a really rude awakening if they keep doing what they're doing. Kind of like when we dropped a bomb and killed their top general. Yeah. Something bad's going to happen if they keep doing what they're doing. And they're asking, they send out these boats to mock attack us, like a mock execution. They'll pretend like they're attacking us. Our guys are on our boats like, what's happening? Why aren't we firing at these people? No more. I've been saying this for years. Do it once. Shoot the boats out of the water one time, it won't ever happen again. If it does happen again, shoot all those boats out of the water, and then just go ahead and attack their navy outright and just cripple it. Treat Iran like what Iran is. Instead, what we're doing is we're doing what we did with North Korea. We pussyfooted around. Now they have nukes. Now we can't do anything. We're doing the exact same thing with Iran. We're pussyfooting around Iran. They don't, as of yet, have nukes. They will soon. Like deployable, deliverable nukes. At that point, we won't be able to shoot their fast attack boats out of the water. Because they'll be like, dude, we're going to nuke you if you do that. So it's frustrating to watch the cycles of time. We've watched from 1953 onward as North Korea, under every American president is culpable, became a nuclear power. We had plenty of opportunity to strike them and break them. We didn't, because we're pussies. The American country, after World War II, we became so strong and so prosperous that the generations, my generation, the generation before me, the generations after me especially, or a bunch of, just in general, we take the Pax Americana for granted. Everything's peaceful, everything's fine. No, it's not. It has been for a couple decades. It has been. But when you look at it in terms of history, a couple decades is nothing. So my rant is just spiraling out of control. I need to get off of here. All right. All right, guys, keep an eye out for Iran and don't let them attack you. Zeranish report out. Be safe, everyone.